Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Coming to you from the Durban International Convention Center this week, where GovTech is taking place. Remember that you can be a part of our tech conversation. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za on email. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you if you think South Africa can fight off hackings. This as the city of Johannesburg and the banking sector have said that they've been fighting off a few hacks of late. Results of that are coming up later in the program. But first, here's what's coming up tonight. We have information about those hackings and what South Africa can do in order for us to fight them off. There's info about a new app launched by the police. And our discussion is about GovTech, which is taking place right here at the International Convention Center in Durban. Recently, online systems of the city of Johannesburg were down. The city did say that it's because they'd been hacked. They did fight it off. You also would have realized that some banking apps were also down. They also said that they were fielding off a few hacking attempts. So this week we are asking if South Africa is able to fight off these hackings and how easy is it to do.
Municipalities across the country are taking advantage of the ability to use digital methods to bring their services closer to the people. However, this emerging space is also becoming an increasing target for cybercriminals. In June 2018, Liberty Group, whose products include life insurance and income protection, was hacked by an unknown party that demanded to be paid. Just recently, the city of Johannesburg was crippled by a ransomware attack that lasted for few days.
The initial investigation suggests that it came through end-user platforms. We started detecting it from individual machines. So it would move from one machine to the other. If the other machine is off, it would skip and move to the other. So as a precaution, we just decided to shut the entire system.
These attacks have finally pushed cybersecurity to the top of the boardroom agenda.
Our ability to detect has raised awareness, and I think there's still a lot that lies beneath the surface that goes undetected. And hence we developed a technology that would help discover those unknowns and make them known, where people can respond. A lot of the attacks that you see in the media are in your face.
Now experts are advising businesses to focus their attention on training employees to reduce the risk.
User awareness is an opportunity. It is a low-cost security control that provides you with huge benefit. And I think whether you're an employee of the state or whether you're a user at home or we're just talking about your family, arming yourself through education is probably the best defense.
However, every business, regardless of its size, is a potential target of cyber attack.
Last week, we were hacked in one of my businesses, and the business is it focuses on two industries, the retail industry, as well as we have a service component in our business. So we have a database with client information, mostly just email addresses so that we can send them statements and invoices or quotations. And what happened last week was we started getting emails from some of our clients saying, I got this quotation from you, but I didn't ask for quotation.
These attacks against businesses and governments are often deliberate and motivated by financial gain.
What the attackers are after is intellectual property. So if you're a mine, it's survey information. If you're a car manufacturer, it's new design or new technology, where the attacker simply steals the intellectual capital and you as the victim are unaware that anything's even missing.
The bitcoins that they were asking for are about 4 bitcoins. That's all that they were asking for. When we calculated the value, it comes up to just over 500,000.
So their whole driver is hack and access as many databases as you can, send out emails to that whole database and just hope that 1 or 2 people from that database will actually make a payment into their bank account.
While these attacks on businesses and governments raise concerns, analysts say to a large extent most of these attacks are avoidable.
As the police were launching their festive season campaign recently, they also announced a new app that's going to make it easy for citizens to report crime. They say some can do this anonymously. But there are those who are questioning how anonymous is it when RICA can allow the back-end process to show your details. Umlazi, outside Durban. The township has the highest rate of murders in KwaZulu-Natal, some of the highest in the country. Kethiwelu Shaba's son was also murdered here. He was shot and killed outside her home.
Since my son was killed last year, September, I still don't know what happened to him. He was shot near our home.
Kethiwe feels her son's murderers could have been found if there was a method that community members could use to report the crime anonymously.
We are often scared of going to the police to tell them about the crimes we saw, like what happened to my son. You might find someone saw something, but they're scared of coming forward.
Nelim Mchunu says she could have alerted law enforcement agencies when she witnessed the rape of her neighbor in this township. She says without airtime, but with data, there was nothing she could do at the time.
There were young men who grabbed her, strangled her and raped her, and she couldn't even walk.
Submit a tip-off, there's call crime.
Vodacom has teamed up with a government to launch a new app that allows people to report crime. They say the My SAPS app has an option to report it anonymously.
If you press that button, it takes you to the nearest police station to get help or anything that you need. It's got alert where you need to alert for an emergency and you are decapitated or something has happened, you'll be able to do that.
With the greatness of this app, they can download and report all to the police. It's easy because you don't have to say who you are.
But the RICA process allows those who access the back end of the service to get phone numbers of the SIM cards that reported the crime. Vodacom says even if this is so, they will never make those details public or share them with the police.
Look, in terms of the POPI Act, in terms of the ICASA Act, we are not allowed to share any information whether we know or we don't know.
Police Minister Beyicele says it's these new ways of policing that they will be implementing in future.
This cannot be the end, it's only the beginning. Policing in the world is going to be run on the IT ways. This is the beginning and the contribution that the South African police are making.
The launch of the My SAPS app has been done as part of the police's festive season campaign. I'm still at registration here at GovTech. Recently, YouTubers had an opportunity to meet, discuss and create at a pop-up space that took place in Johannesburg. It was the first time such a pop-up space happened in Africa's wealthiest city.
To better support its creative community, YouTube has built dedicated spaces in cities like Paris, New York and Tokyo where YouTubers can access professional studios and equipment. For the first time, South Africa will have its own YouTube spaces in the form of temporary pop-up at Newtown Junction in Johannesburg.
This space is a resource for anyone who has a YouTube channel in South Africa. It's open 7 days a week. There is a dedicated YouTube manager on site who can help people learn about editing, about shooting and lighting, about optimizing your audience so that you can grow. And there are monthly meetups as well, where once a month people can come and actually meet other guys. But you can come in any time of day to the studio here in Newtown Junction and connect to other YouTubers and just start your journey.
Pop-Up Space Johannesburg will host seminars and tutorials on topics like production, copyright and editing, as well as helping a number of creators produce new in-studio clips.
The pop-up space is a follow-up from 1 year ago when some YouTube creators in South Africa actually self-organized a tour around the country. And so when we see creators who are already investing in the community, we love to reward and support that with the resources we can when we bring together a pop-up space in the country.
As YouTube's creator community grows, there's an array of brands and managers who want a piece of their valuable relationship with their audience.
We upload all our television videos that we would have produced, and we literally trying to move into a space where we want to teach people about technology. We've got NIM, which is Nissan Intelligent Mobility in our Nissan vehicles. So we're trying to educate the audience in terms of those specific features that we have in different cars for all the car lovers out there.
One Joburg resident who will be using the pop-up space is Tenny Bear, a videographer with more than 500 subscribers. He joined YouTube in 2016, but said he only began monetizing his platform via advertising recently.
I use YouTube a lot to learn things. I go for tutorials, I watch interviews and things like that. But sometimes also you just want something funny in between your breaks, your lunch breaks. If you've been stressed, you've been having a stressful day, you can watch a funny video and it just uplifts your mood.
These spaces will be hosted once a month at the Newtown Culture Hub.
SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we'll chat about what's happening here at the International Convention Center in Durban. It's our discussion on GovTech. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome back. Now, various working sessions are taking place right here at GovTech. I'm going there to find out what happens when government meets with industry.
I always fly. I am having an amazing time in Durban.
That is Sophia the Jet Setter. Some brought their robots to attract partners and the eye of the government. Here, there's an exhibition hall with startups who are showcasing what they do with the hope that the government will implement it.
So it's a good platform for us to network and then work with different stakeholders that that are hard for us to work with, and this becomes an easy platform for us to access them and then to engage with them on a level where we are as SMEs.
This is a key event where now we're showcasing platforms such as Let's Talk, how important it is on service delivery, and also opening up opportunities for more leads and for more customers.
Industry is also here to showcase how they can offer new solutions to the government.
Microsoft got the programs where we, people in the provinces, are identifying some of the black-owned organizations where would you train them in our technology, not to try for them to actually be leaning too much around Microsoft as a product, but understanding our platform and how to build on top of the platform.
Microsoft has teamed up with Durban Metro Police to launch this vehicle, which is getting many excited here. They say it has cameras that snap car registration numbers. Then details are sent to a computer that can figure out whether the car is stolen, has traffic fines, and even if the vehicle is linked to a crime.
The second phase will be the tasers and the body cams. They will be mounted, or they will be positioned to the policeman, and the policeman, it will be activated the moment the policeman leaves the vehicle, and there will be live feed from the body cam onto the vehicle and also to the network system in the project area with all the vehicles. So every policeman in the network area working with the smart digital type of policing will be able to see what is going on the next vehicle.
There are many discussions with industry about partnerships with startups and government in this fourth industrial revolution. Government says they want to improve their procurement processes so they too are in the current digital era. They say they want to make it easy for tech startups to also benefit in this process.
As government, we're using a system whereby we're going for a cheaper quote, submit 3 quotations, or we call for a tender, and then whoever that is the cheapest is the one that will get the tender. And what that does, it then limits the participation of the local innovations, because we're not subsidizing most of the local innovators, and the people that they are made to compete with, it's people who are incentivized in their countries. Therefore, we're saying, how do we make sure that we promote localization whilst we're embracing multinationals, not at the expense of the people of the country, but in realizing that we can work together to make sure that the technologies and the solutions that we are providing to government, indeed they have the South African flavor and the African character in nature.
GovTech is in its 14th year this year. The chosen theme is digital transformation, gearing towards the 4th industrial revolution. Dudu Letinia is the CEO of SITA. I'm on my way to have a conversation with him about GovTech. I also want to ask him how they are transforming in this digital era and how their work benefits SMMEs. Thank you very much for being a part of our network. Maybe if we can start by explaining the purpose of GovTech.
GovTech is very much relevant. Through GovTech we bring very powerful partnerships between, the state, government, the private sector, as suppliers, the civil society, small, medium enterprises. It's not only a talk show, so it's not about just talking about, technology innovations, but it's really about skills development amongst others. We will have pre-events to GovTech, for example, where, through hackathon, we would allow for open innovation that includes students, unemployed youths, government officials, that are developing exciting solutions to then get an opportunity to develop solutions. And then we've got some training programs, for the SMMEs, an amazing opportunity. For example, now we've just had about 2 days of very rigorous engagement with SMMEs to say how do we then ensure that as we talk about innovation and localization, that actually we will have SMMEs being able to partner with us in making sure that we develop, local solutions.
You speak of localization. How does that happen?
No, we are engaging, the various SMMEs, as individuals, but also as formations, right? So within SITA today, we've got what we call the Industry Transformation Unit, and that is where, the bigger part of the work that we do really focuses on engagements with the SMMEs. We've got an obligation to make sure that at least 40% of our spend really goes into SMMEs. The reality is that South Africa has got a whole lot of challenges, as you would know. Unemployment, South Africa is seen as the most unequal, country in the world. I mean, that is really massive. And so for us, building that capacity of the SMMEs, especially in the innovation or innovative space of technology, is very important. So that's how we then would engage with them, because they develop various solutions, and we engage also with the various bodies, Black IT Forum, Progressive Blacks in ICT, PBICT, the ICT Chamber. And so we have formulated now these groups into an ICT SMME forum.
These big corporates that you're talking about, are they open to working with local SMMEs? Because their purpose in South Africa is to make a profit, and now you're asking them to work with SMMEs and have some sort of skills transfer.
Absolutely. Look, and I know there's usually then, that position that is taken, that perhaps, these big companies are just, profit driven as a motivation. But one of the things that we do as SITA, we feel it is our role to then make sure that we can partner with these entities very closely. They are doing business out there anyhow, Government requires, Microsoft, productivity suites and all of that, Office, Windows and all of that. Or any other business, Cisco, Huawei, you mentioned them, right? OEMs and OSMs. And so we've partnered with these entities as SITA. I think today we've got about 11 framework agreements with all these multinational, huge entities.
You touched a bit on the transformation of SITA. How tedious is that process?
We're not going to start already in 4IR, this thing, defined as 4IR, that we're going to have some building blocks that will ensure that, we sustainably, sit within that 4IR space. And so, things like infrastructure are still big challenges today. So, when you talk about artificial intelligence or Internet of Things, robotics, blockchain, big data, all of these things, they may not work if you don't have the basic infrastructure. And that is why we talk about, digitization, we talk about digitalization, which is the next step, because digitization will just be about how then do we move from analog systems into digital. And then, of course, digitalization, which begins to then start looking into business processes. And then, the peak of that will then be the digital transformation that we're all talking about, right? Which is a massive thing, because we try to show how important this is.
There have also been previous hackings of government institutions. Recently, we saw the city of Johannesburg. They happen all over the world. But how do you mitigate and plan against such?
It's a very, very big issue. And I think although, SITA may not necessarily be, directly involved in that space, because there is a procurement of those services directly, between obviously the city of Johannesburg and the service providers. But of course, when these things happen, given the mandate that we've got as the State Information Technology Agency, it becomes worrying to us as well. And like we said, the more we become digital, the more we move, into this, digital space, the more, we've got new, vulnerabilities of security and so forth. There's been focus, like I said, on more, physical security, how do we then guard our servers as infrastructure and all of that. But today it's about data. And we see this generally, like you said, this is happening, it's a worldwide phenomena, that there's hacking and all of that, right? We have to be able to come to a point where we're able to systematize and actually be able to standardize, data itself, as the minister was talking about data as new oil. Because it has become so important.
And lastly, after GovTech, what happens?
We have deployed, analysts in all these sessions to make sure that they are critical listeners. They jot these things down, and we have committed to the minister that, we will then make sure that we bring all these action points back, and then we start delivering on those. One of the things that we were saying earlier on was that perhaps we then look into something like a GovTech, 2019, roadmap, that we will then be able to work on, not only as ourselves as SITA, but, with the various partners and all of that. I mean, I personally was very excited engaging with the various private sector partners that are here, local and multinational entities that are here. I think there is that understanding that, at the end of the day, it's about the country, it's about South Africa. We are South Africans, and what are we then doing to make sure that we can achieve the objectives as set out in the NDP 2030.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with the program. Here's what else took place in the rest of the world in the technology space.
Twitter will ban political advertising on its platform next month, as social media platforms face pressure to block attempts to steer elections with false information. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey put out a statement on his Twitter account that read that the platform has made a decision to stop all political advertising on Twitter globally, and that they believe political message reach should be earned and not bought. The move follows a contrary decision by Facebook, which refused to ban or even fact-check political ads.
Would we ban ads about healthcare or immigration or women's empowerment? And if you're not going to ban those, does it really make sense to give everyone else a voice in political debates except for the candidates themselves?
Twitter's ban takes effect starting November 22nd. Still on social media. Facebook Inc. last Tuesday sued Israeli cyber surveillance firm NSO Group, alleging it hacked users of its messaging platform WhatsApp earlier this year. NSO has long argued that its software is used to fight terrorism and has tried to clean up its image after it was bought by London-based private equity firm Novalpina Capital earlier this year. And now in the US of A. Microsoft Corp has won the Pentagon's $10 billion cloud computing contract, beating out favorite Amazon.com Inc. The Joint Enterprise Defense Infrastructure Cloud, otherwise known as JEDI, contract is part of a broader digital modernization of the Pentagon meant to make it more technologically agile. But the contracting process had long been marred in conflict of interest allegations, even drawing the attention of President Donald Trump, who has publicly taken swipes at Amazon and its founder Jeff Bezos. Some companies were also concerned that a single award would give the winner an unfair advantage in follow-on work. The Pentagon has said it planned to award future cloud deals to multiple contractors.
This week, Twitter poll is asking you if you think South Africa is capable of fielding off cyber attacks. This as the city of Johannesburg experienced a hacking recently. The banking sector also said that they were fielding off a few cyber attacks. That's it. That's all we have for you. Remember that you can find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. It's newsnetwork at sabc.co.za on email. From me, Spumelele Zondi and the rest of the team right here at the Durban International Convention Center. Thank you very much for being a part of our network. Have a good one. It's good night.